Trivia, he got all excited because he loves to watch Jeopardy. He's a big trivia buff, and he said, Timmy, he said, I've got about 100 trivia questions that I've made up over the years, and you should really use them at your trivia night. And I'm sitting there saying, well, we buy these pre-packaged trivia products. But let me take a look at it. Maybe we'll use some of the harder ones for our bonus questions. So he goes around and rummages in his office for a while. Comes out with like a manila folder with like 20 pages full of trivia questions, probably like 100, 150 questions. I was amazed. And I start rifling through them, and some of them really were very, very good. And he's sitting there patiently watching me going, well, are you going to use my questions or not? And I said, well, some of these are very good, but there's a couple in here that I'm not sure really are very applicable to our particular demographic here, a bit obscure. Well, like what? Well, on page 4, you asked the question, what was the best selling pair of slacks in 1930? I mean, you may know that, but I'm pretty sure no one else is going to know the answer to that. Well, what else? What else is wrong? And I said, well, there's another one where you say, how many number 1 hits did Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians have in 1942? I don't think I've ever even heard of that band. I don't think anyone else has either. Plus, weren't you at war in 42? How would you even know the answer to that question? But the best one by far was on page 9 when he asks, what's the 9th planet from the sun? And he said, oh, that's easy, it's Pluto. And I said, oh yeah, you didn't get the memo on that one, did you? No longer a planet. Lost its planetary status, unfortunately. Anyway, my grandfather's pretty old school. And we grew up during a time, obviously, very different from the time we live in right now. And actually, I gotta ask the guys out there, can you imagine growing up in a period where the only acceptable response to, I'm pregnant, is, I do? And the answer to that riddle is no. You get a woman pregnant back in those days, and you're dealing with fathers who have a shotgun, a shovel, and a bag of lime ready to go if you say anything other than, I will do whatever you want me to, sir. So, and back then, as in now, contraception is very important. We all should practice safe sex, both for the contraceptive and anti-disease capacities, okay? I myself am a big proponent of safe sex. Whenever I meet a new girl, and I go out with her, and we've decided that, yes, we're going to take this next step and, do the horizontal mambo, whatever you want to call it. I always ask, I assume she's had multiple partners, so I ask her and I say, have you practiced safe sex in the past? Have you always used a condom? Do you use one all the time? Of course I do. Of course I use a condom. They said, that's great, because now I don't have to. And I find that to be particularly a safe form of sex there. Anyway, just getting a woman to agree to sleep with you is tough, though. You got to have a few decent pickup lines in your arsenal. And sometimes current events can help you with this, okay? For instance, 2 months ago, everybody was all up in arms about this Mayan apocalypse thing, and I'm sitting there, and people were really freaked out about it. A lot of people were really worried that the world was going to come to an end just because a bunch of guys who used to run around in loincloths forgot to carry the one and made an ad there. But I said, maybe I can use this to my advantage. I'm going to use this to my advantage. So, I would go out to bars and meet attractive women who, were gullible enough, I guess, to believe that the world was going to, in fact, come to an end very soon. And I would just walk up to them and say, listen, of all the guys in this bar, no one has stockpiled canned goods more aggressively than I have. Okay? You want to live with me. We're going to survive. And I'll tell you right now, it didn't work even once, not even close. I thought it was very clever, though. So, sometimes I'll take a different route. I don't know if you're familiar with the I guess you call the philosopher Schopenhauer, all about being able to will things to happen. So I go and just try to wave my arm in front of them and say, you will find me attractive. That doesn't really work very well either, but I'm convinced that that's where the whole Jedi mind trick thing came from. Basically, it's kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi. You don't need to see an identification. These aren't the droids you're looking for. You will invite me back to your apartment, and you won't feel like a slut for sleeping with me on the first date. Once again, not very effective, but worth a try. Brian's giving me a funny look right now. I'm a pretty avid golfer. I'm switching gears here a little bit, but I'm a pretty avid golfer. 7 handicap. That's me tooting my horn right there. I watch a lot of PGA events on TV. I like to watch the majors, some of the, maybe the TPC tournaments. And one of my favorite parts of watching golf is the whisper guy, the guy who does the announcing by the putting green, like Frank McCord. Johnny Miller's in the booth, and he's like, and now we're going to go down to Frank McCord is with Tiger Woods on the 16th green. well, Johnny, Tiger's got a 3-foot putt here for par. He needs this one to stop the slide. We can only hope he's not thinking about having sex with porn stars right now. Nothing on that one, folks. I'm giving you gems here. Anyway, I've always thought that it might be fun to have a quiet golf announcer, you know, in the bedroom while I'm doing my business, right? Just think about this. I mean, I really want Johnny Miller in my bedroom, but he might be voyeuristic enough to go for it. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. But you know, you're working, you're doing your thing there, and you've got Johnny Miller, and he's doing the whisper voice, and he's like, well, she's responded so well so far to his foreplay tactics. She looks like she's getting ready for the next step. He looks a little reluctant to round third base, though. It could be because he's a gentleman, or just because he's a big pussy. We're not really sure. Oh, there he goes. And he's done well there. See, I actually just went from golf to soccer in 2 seconds. And the crossing pass has gone through, the head is in, and he's done well there.
Gary Player.
That is Gary Player, but he's South African, asshole. All right. Now listen, we've gone through sex here. Once you've had the sex, you move past, into the honeymoon phase. Eventually, you get to a place where, okay, you're still having sex, and that's important. But you're in a relationship, you know each other. The honeymoon period is over, and you start to have to deal with. Maybe you move in together. You got to clean up after yourself. You got to leave the toilet seat down. There's a lot of work to be done, and you also have to answer, or you're tempted to answer, stupid rhetorical questions like, do these jeans make my ass look big? And let me tell you something. The First Amendment may protect your right to ask that question, but the Fifth Amendment protects my right to sit there on the couch, beer in hand, watching SportsCenter, and pretend I never heard you. All right? I am not required by law to incriminate myself, because really, no matter how I answer that question, I'm going to get in trouble. Did my butt look big in these jeans? No, honey. Oh, you're never truthful with me. Just give me an honest answer. Yes, they do. Get the fuck out of here, asshole. Okay, you're in trouble either way. All right? There's really nothing you can do about it. I gotta tell you, over the years I've dated some pretty crazy girls. Most of them was just because they were really hot and it was worth the trouble. I dated this one girl about 5 years ago who actually stole my credit card out of my wallet and went out and bought herself clothes, manicures, pedicures, went out with her friends and bought drinks. And this was a card I never used. It was actually an account that I forgot I even had. So when I get a call 3 months later from my credit card company saying, sir, we have to talk to you about some suspicious activity on your card. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I haven't even used this card in 6 months. So I call up and I find out about all this, and of course, her ass was out the door in a hurry. But this is just the biggest pain in the ass thing to do. You get these phone calls, and nowadays they're so uptight about it. Everything is suspicious. And of course, a couple weeks ago, I actually I made a bunch of iTunes purchases because I had to update my library for karaoke night and for music night and everything like that. So I get a call once again from the credit card company saying, sir, you need to call us. There's some suspicious activity in your card. So I'm like, all right, fuck this. I can call up. You got to call. You got to wait half an hour. Your call is very important to us. We'll be right with you. Yeah, right. So 30 minutes later, finally, I get a customer service rep on the phone. And this is an underpaid woman who really does not want to be doing what she's doing. And I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to have a little fun with her. So she says, sir, before we get started, I just need to verify some basic information. First of all, what's your first name? Tim. And what's your last name? Boyd. And is there a middle initial associated with the account, sir? M. Is that M or N, sir? M, as in Mohammed? Sorry, did you say Mohammed? Is that really your middle name? No, it's actually Michael. Then why'd you say Mohammed? Because I have a coexist bumper sticker on my car, and I believe in practicing what my car preaches. And she said, well, sir, listen, whatever that might be, I have to tell you that there's been some suspicious activity in your account. There's been some large purchases made at the iTunes store. And I said, well, listen, is it all hardcore rap? She's like, well, sir, we don't know. And I was like, doesn't matter. If it's hardcore rap, it's all me, because that's really all I listen to. And this went on and on for a while, and I'd like to think that after a few more minutes in the phone with me, this woman basically quit, went home early for the day, went to her car, drove home, and sat at home and drank in the dark for a while just to get over having to deal with me. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.